This is Kevin Jones with the museum at the Fashion Institute of Design and Merchandising, coming to you live from Los Angeles. Today I am going to be talking with one of our graduates who's gone on to do really fantastic things in the movie world. So I'm just kind of waiting to see her log on so I can bring her up with me. It's a gorgeous day here in Los Angeles, so wherever you are, good morning here in LA, the West Coast, good afternoon on the East Coast, and good evening all over the rest of the world. It's just about Halloween, so I would imagine you are all getting ready to go trick-or-treating, however that's going to be. I see Mona. I'm going to go live with Mona. This is great. Hi, Mona.
Hi everybody. So excited to see you. I haven't seen you in a while.
I know, it's been too long, right? How are you? Have you been doing much with quarantine?
What's going on behind me? Busy, 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 busy.
Wow. So where are you right now?
I'm at Universal Studios. I'm doing a reboot for Punky Brewster with Slay Moon, so the original cast, which is great.
Wow, cool. All grown up, I would think.
All grown up. She's a mom, and she's going to be a very cool mom, putting her in really fun, edgy clothes, to give mom some inspiration to, look great. So yeah, it's been fun, but also, the whole COVID thing, it's very different to work in the studio. We have to, I'm not having a mask because there's nobody around me, but we have to wear a mask. We have to wear a shield around the actors. We have to quarantine the clothes for 48 hours when we pull them from Bloomingdale's or Saks before we can do the fittings.
Right.
It's really, it just adds time to our process.
I was going to say, this is gonna extend all of the work that you have to do even longer than it normally takes.
Yeah, and you don't have time.
And that's short, right?
It's crazy because we're shooting, let's say Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday we shoot. We prep Thursday, Friday, and then we shoot again Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So there's so little time. We have to have new actors by Friday the week before, because then we shop for them Monday. Tuesday, Wednesday we quarantine the clothes. Thursday we fit. We still have to get it approved Thursday night, let's hope, or Friday morning, do alterations, then send this picture still to the studio, to the big bosses, to get it approved. So it's
with your busy schedule, Mona, thank you so much for joining us this morning for an hour collection conversation about all the really cool stuff that you've done and continue to do. And thank you also for this behind the scenes look of this really not 9 to 5 profession, 24 hours a day profession.
It was so interesting coming back because, we all were home and we were kind of hanging out and having all the good time, resting, and getting back into the 12, 14-hour days. Again, it's been hard. It's really like, I forgot how much, our job kind of thing. We really don't have like personal lives. My friends, not that still, it's just that you can work, go home, or feed your animals, or your husband, kiss, and
right.
We're like, filmmakers are always on location, 24/7, like you said.
Yeah, and I would imagine it's like working out. You got to get conditioned again.
I was so tired the first weeks. I was just like exhausted. Seriously, like, oh my God. Now I'm on the 2.5 months in. I'm like, okay, I'm back to my stamina.
Right. Well, I want to introduce you first. You and I have known each other for years and years and years, but some of our viewers may not know Mona May, although I know they know your movies. So let me give a really quick bio. So for more than 25 years, Mona May has been creating costumes for the motion picture and television industries, including iconic films such as The Wedding Singer, Romney and Michelle's High School Reunion, Never Been Kissed, Enchanted, and A Night at the Roxbury. Born in India, actually I didn't know that, that's fascinating. To European parents, Mona was raised in Warsaw, Poland and Berlin, Germany. She studied fashion in Europe, New York, and Los Angeles, including the Fashion Institute of Design and Merchandising. Yes, we're both alum. One of her most popular films, which we're really going to talk about 3 films today. One of the most popular films is Clueless, starring Alicia Silverstone and Paul Rudd, and has been inspiring the fashion landscape for literally, Mona, the last quarter century. Can you believe it?
I can't.
Mona's other passion, and I love this, is providing guidance to young women and empowering them to be themselves, the backbone of her work on screen and her stand as an artist and in life. Mona gives keynote speeches around costuming and creative storytelling and is currently working on a book, An Insider of the Incredible World of Costume Design. And thank you again for this insider look that we have today with your work. I mean, I'm so happy that our schedules worked out this way. And also the day before Halloween, because we have something spooky at the end. So don't be scared.
Amazing.
So this past week, we sent out a call to our viewers for questions, because we love to have our viewers ask what they're interested in, what they want to know. And I'm watching the feed here as well. So if there's any questions that pop up that aren't covered here, we'll try to squeeze those in as well. So, and I've got 18 photos to hold up today. So we only have an hour, and now we have less than an hour. So I'm going to kind of keep it moving. So Mona,
yes.
How did you get your start in costume design?
You know, it's such a great question, because I didn't really know much about costume design. I grew up in Europe. I loved, from little girl, I was dressing my little dolls and drawing outfits, and fashion was just kind of my love from little girl, and dressing my mom and telling everybody what to wear and what to put together. I kind of intuitively knew that, and I loved it. And then I went on to school, and I was always painting and drawing, and my parents were very artistic. They encouraged everything in that way, so it was really great. My mom was an art dealer, so I grew up around art and color. I traveled a lot. Like, I was born in India, then I grew up in Poland, and we moved to Germany, so kind of a very worldly view as a child. And
Right.
after studying in Europe and New York, and I ended up in Los Angeles, you hang out with people who are, you go to parties and you meet people who are in UCLA or USC, and they were film students, friend of mine's, and they were doing a little thesis. They were like, hey, we need some help us. And I was like, sure. I mean, sounds fun. And truly, that was my first introduction to costume design, and I loved it immediately. To me, it was like just with the fashion, just really finding, reading the script and finding the real character of who they are, who are these, psychology of the people. I love the
Right.
correlation of the filmmaking, and I love the other artists together. I'm a good manager too, so it was good, like managing people, for getting everything there on time, having a good attitude, passion.
Right.
So immediately, kind of that, I caught the bug, and I was good at it. So I just got calls. Somebody else said, hey, get her, and it really kind of started going. And I was doing music videos. There was the Run DMC times, MTV started while I was still in school, and that was pretty much it. And then the rest is history in a sense, because I started doing bigger and bigger things. I did a pilot with heckling, which pilot didn't get picked up, but we fell in love with each other creatively. It was like 2 in a pause. I mean, she loves fashion, I loved. It was before computers. We would bring the same tear sheets, to work. The pilot didn't get picked up, but we formed this incredible relationship. Very, very creative relationship. And when she wrote Clueless, she was the girl, because you have kind of the fashion background. You're European. I want this to be European. The runway shows incorporated into the film look, and kind of how it happened. And then, I mean, Clueless blew up, and I got an agent. The rest is truly history.
It's one of the things that we've talked about over and over and over. It doesn't matter whom we're speaking with or the topic, honestly. It's because we always ask, how did you get your start? Everybody's very interested in that, because there's lots of people watching us today who would like to get into this industry. And, like, how do you do it? And we all know that there is never one way of ever doing anything.
No.
And, I hear it over and over and over. It's taking advantage of opportunity. I mean, that's kind of what it is. And being open to what is a possibility. Because, yeah, there's certain things maybe some of us would like to be, but we never get to that to be because what we should be is over here.
Taking chances, and I think not being scared. I didn't know how to do costumes really. I mean, I learned to read the script. I learned to be with the director and answer the questions and figure out how to do it on set. I mean, there was not really a manual in a way, and I was
Right.
boss from the beginning, so I didn't learn from being on set of like grow in the industry from being on set. They become designers. I just kind of was thrown into the water, baby into the water, just like swim. Okay, do it. And it was
Right.
great. I think learn, and I think that it's finding your passion. I just talk
Yeah.
about that. Oh, this is something you like. Yes, if it's boring you and you're not really having fun, don't do it. But
Yeah, exactly.
that caught me incredibly. Like I was in, like after the film, first little mini film, I was like, I love it, and I took anything. I mean, I didn't get paid for those movies. I didn't have a lot of. I was a foreign student from another country. I mean, I was not a rich person. I didn't care. This is what I
Right.
wanted. I was waitressing on the side, and that was kind of how I made money to sustain myself. I was very lucky; my parents paid for school. But it was to do anything. I'll jump in anything, and I
Yeah.
think that is really important. Like, you have to put yourself out. You have to
Yeah.
put yourself, even if you don't know. And I think reach out to people too. A lot of people
Yeah.
reach out. I do mentor a lot of people, and I'm happy to connect. I'm a connector, and the way to reach out, I think, is to people that you admire. People, let's say if you like my work, write to me. If you like Ruth Carter work, write to her. Find
Right.
that you resonate with too, because it should feel. I think if somebody reach out for a job, maybe it's not so cool. But if you say, I'm really resonating with your work, that really taught me something, that really inspired me, to be a costume designer or go on that path, that's a different story. Then it's like, oh, cool, that I can share something with you that you're already interested
Yeah. Um, okay. So what, and I know we're gonna talk about three movies today, but maybe this isn't in one of those three films. What favorite look you have ever put on screen?
How can you ask that? I mean, that's like a
I'm not asking. It's our viewers.
like a mother of your children. Who do you love the
Right.
most? So, Clueless will always be the most famous because it's just so iconic. The yellow suit. I mean, like love that you actually showed yellow plaid as a preview for me coming because I mean,
And
truly,
everybody got it. Everybody knew who was coming. I thought it was amazing.
I love it. Incredible, to have that kind of impact on culture. But I also love Enchanted. I love Queen Nerissa, her evil get up, and that I had to do it from
Yes.
2 live action to CGI dragon. I mean, I was able to spend 5 months in preparation and creating the costume.
Wow.
We will talk a little bit about Enchanted and doing glow costume, which was amazing. And I was so happy when you guys had the exhibit. We actually did the dark room with flashlights. I mean, that was so cool. So it's hard. It's really hard to, I'm so passionate about my work and I love it. My baby. And I just memories about everything. And I just that I can't really say which is Clueless was probably the most iconic.
That's
I would say.
fine. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I just want to admit that last night I binge watched Clueless, The Haunted Mansion, and Enchanted. I already seen all of them, but I
Brett,
just like did one after the other. It was super fun.
so cool. Those are great, such great movies, and I think inspiring on in different ways.
Yes. Okay, so let's then get started on these three films. Clueless, 19 was from 1995, so we're now at 25 years. It's interesting because it's a riff of the Jane Austen novel Emma. And really fun that it was updated for that. And honestly, I didn't catch on to that. I just thought it was a cool story. But then when I saw Emma, and I thought, oh wait, yeah, that's exactly spot on. So.
Eckling, the director, brilliant director, brilliant writer, she wrote the script. I mean, to translate that period something modern with the lingo of the, the characters, modern lingo, and then adding the fashion. I think she's brilliant. Amy is just
Yeah.
brilliant. Yeah.
And it just captured that mid '90s perfectly. In the film, Alaya, Calvin Klein, these are names that are evoked. Were they in the script, and then you went with those for, like, especially Alicia's red Alaya dress now, or was that something that came about because you found the dress and then went to the director and say, hey, this is incredible, and did it get embroidered into the storyline that way? How did it work?
Because it's so, it kind of shows you how things really are. I mean, this movie was not a big budget, 25 million. I didn't have a huge wardrobe budget, and I had to be so inventive to bring the fashion that didn't exist. I had to create a fashion in the future because everybody was grunge. Everybody was wearing baggy clothes.
Right.
The high-end Beverly Hills fashion. All the girls probably went to runway shows and brought their clothes with. So I didn't have the money to really buy all that designer stuff. I had to guess that this is the Alaya. Yay!
Yes.
I did design the jacket. That's the original, but it was not it was not in the script that it was an Alaya. In the script, it was proudly red, and I went out and tried to find that Alaya dress was just the most beautiful thing we ever saw. We actually didn't have the money to buy the dress. I had to reach out to Paris. Remember, you guys, this is before computers. We had to actually pick up phones and call somebody. And there was no PR machine, too. Nobody was really like giving us. They were all young actors. It was a small movie. It's not like Sex and the City where everybody's close, all the designers now. So I actually got a hold of somebody in Paris. We had a PR person send us the dress. We had to she's gonna be on the ground in the dress. We're gonna lick the floor just to make sure the dress doesn't get damaged because we had to return it. Then Amy wrote it.
How interesting that it worked that. I mean, does that happen very often?
No, but I think it happens. You really need you don't have all the resources. Maybe when you have all the millions and millions, if something is written and it's a lie, you can go and get the $3,000 dress. But when you don't have the resources, you have to be smart. And Amy was Amy was also in fashion. She trusted me completely. So it was very nice hypnosis for us. That she said, go do it, and then I was able to also feel free that I can say, hey, find what's there.
Yeah.
Fine dress. We tried a bunch of things in Asia, kind of lingerie things, and they were too tight and they were too shiny. And really, when I found the Calvin Klein slip dress, it was cotton. It was not nude. It was cream, which was kind of like a slip, but not really. It was like a dress, and it was perfectly fit. When you have this fitting with the director, you're sitting there, you're trying stuff, and when the right thing is. When it's like not too tight.
Intuition.
Same with the yellow suit. I tell the story over and over. When we had the fitting, I had a blue suit, I had a red suit, yellow suit for that first scene. We knew that this first scene is outside in the quad. There's a lot of green. There's a lot of crossing of people. A lot of people. It's first day of school. She had to pop. We tried look at all the people we had to dress. All these people had to be dressed head to toe. So she's in the midst of all those people. We tried the blue suit that I pulled. It was beautiful, but just didn't have the pop. We tried the red one. It just was too much. Like she's trying too hard and maybe too Christmassy. When we put the yellow, it was literally, we got goosebumps in the fitting. It was like, this is new. That yellow color, that energy on screen against all the green is going to look incredible. And look at it now. It's made history.
I just want to thank you, Mona, because viewers, all of these images that you're seeing, almost all of them you're seeing today, are from Mona's private collection of her work. And so these are things that have never been published. They're not out there. And it's great to have these on-set, behind-the-scenes looks that really captured what was going on set.
Yeah, a lot of... And Isha Silverson changed. Dion had 55 changes. Ty had 35 changes. And then on top of it, we had to dress all the extras head to toe. I love this. It's so beautiful. Look at her.
It is.
And I got to design Dion's plaid suit and the the vinyl lapels to match the crazy Dr. Seuss hat. You know, it's like the girlfriends, they call each other in the morning. What are you wearing for first day of school? I'm wearing my yellow Dolce. Okay, I'm going to wear my, black and white Mona May.
That's great. And and it's I suppose when you're doing this, you're figuring out what's going to work best, but you're never thinking, you know what? This is going to become iconic.
I think that's you just your job and trying to make it happen on a small budget. 2 months to prep. That's it. 8 weeks, you guys. All of this to really recreate fashion that's not even on the street yet. Oh, I love that sketch.
And here are your sketches.
Very, very talented Felipe Sanchez, who is also a FIDM alumni. We went to school together. He's one of the most prolific and talented costume illustrators in our business. We started together, and we just worked on Punky Brewster together last week. So, you form these relationships at school, and it's great because you trust each other. You know each other. I mean, he can read my mind. Probably I'm not even in the room, and he knows what I'm going to say about a certain style of a jacket that he's drawing. So it's great.
Give me his name again.
Felipe Sanchez.
Felipe Sanchez. Gorgeous drawings, by the way. And so I have a personal question.
Yeah.
How did the socks come about? Because that is one of the most iconic aspects of their look.
Okay, what was really important in that movie was that translating the high fashion into a high school setting. We really wanted to make sure that the girls don't look like slutty models walking around, in their high heels, and it had to. As a costume designer, I have to create authentic, real characters, real people, real girls. Whatever we could take from the high fashion, we had to bring it down. So there was no pointy high heels. They were married. I think the socks, the knee high, over the stocking, made it more girly. It brought it down to kind of level of youthfulness. And we also loved the over the knee stockings. Amy Heckerling loved them because they were kind of, 1920s,
Yes.
over the knee. So it was really kind of bringing something. If you had the outfit, I think if you looked at Dion without the knee highs, it would look much more high-end fashion. When you put the knee, you really made it more youthful and young. And it was very important because they were young girls. It was very important to be girly, youthful, fun, inspiring. I think I get a question sometimes, how would Clueless look now? And I think I don't know if this could be really remade because it's a different time. There was some innocence that we had. There was no cell phones. The information, there was nothing was so oversexed as it is now. It was just different times.
Yes, right.
Maybe
Did Alicia Silverstone?
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
Maybe this was also the that we love now, too, because innocence that is lives in the world now. So there is a nostalgia to that feeling of being girly, being very feminine, being sweet, And Alicia, I think what you're going to ask me, was she like that?
And also, how much influence did she have on what she ended up wearing as well? Did she have any ideas?
Alicia was 18 years old. She had no experience of doing a movie. She was a girl, beautiful, incredibly gorgeous girl who just did a video for Aerosmith, and that's how Amy Heckerling her up. She was just absolutely gorgeous, stunning. But she was already at 18 an animal activist. She ran around in her sweats with the dogs in tow, with her flip-flops, and that's how she was coming to the fitting. So actually it was a patient for her to wear these kind of clothes, learn to be in fittings for hours and hours and try as movie binding clothes. It was really interesting. Even we have the conversation with Alicia now, still being close with her. I didn't even understand how important that was at the time, how important that was in the whole process. But she, throughout the fitting, she learned to be Cher. She learned to wear it, to stand the right way. It was really incredible. I think that maybe audiences forget how much important costumes are for the character development actor. I mean, truly in the fitting, this is where they're putting the clothes on and then becoming that person. That happens in the fitting. It's not with props. It's not with sets. It's not with camera. It's with us. So it's
what was challenging?
Sorry.
What was the most challenging aspect of Clueless? Was it the number of
I think
cast members?
there were two things. I think it was the number of costumes that I had to produce on time,
Right.
the time, money I had. Also creating something from the future and creating with the people. I didn't have the budget to create everything from and make patterns. I had to be really, really smart how to create a future with the things we have now. You know, because the runways are at least 6 months ahead, and you can't buy
Right.
that stuff for. You know, so what I also did, which I think was interesting, I did high and low, which wasn't really in at the time, where you were wearing head to toe fashion or you were grunge. You know, I brought something fresh, which I did the high end designer, but I also mixed with thrift stores on Dion a lot, and then I brought the mall clothes, and I created something very fresh that I think also was something that people loved because it was new.
And let's not forget the guys too.
Oh my! You know what? My little boy posse. It was so great. I mean, we had the character, which was really cool because we didn't want to know that he was gay. So I actually created this look, which Amy ended up loving. It was a kind of a James Dean 1940s. He actually wore pleat pants and the 40s jacket with t-shirts. We had our little stoner Travis. He was amazing. And then Murray in his little like kind of a like get up the street clothes, but again, they were like high fashion because he was Dion's boyfriend and he had to look good next to her. You know, she probably dressed him. And then, we have our the most popular boy who was always in designer sweaters and, kind of leather pants, oversized stuff. So yeah, the boys were kind of, behind the scenes, but also very elevated because guys did
My
not.
favorite, my favorite is Breckenmeyer with his T-shirt and the bow tie,
Oh,
with the tux jacket, with the formal jacket. I thought that was hilarious.
too. I mean, and probably had his bands.
Right,
Yes.
right.
But
So,
also,
um,
can't stress enough that the collaboration with the director.
okay.
It's so important to having somebody who trusts you, gives you the rein. I mean, you don't see movies that you ever see in Clueless because it's Emmy heckling. She knew I love hats, and I brought the hats. Yes, let's do it. I mean, every outfit. Let's put a crazy hat on. Let's bring it on. So it's great to now. I've known Amy for so long. I've done so many movies. Creating these collaborations as a designer, as anyone, I think it's really important to have these people that you really connect creatively.
Another aspect of character development, which I've always found interesting, and it's not an industry I want to work in at all. I'm all about the museum field. But is something you mentioned earlier is like reading the script and breaking down the characters and their psychology. I think that those are the stories that I love to hear the most from designers because you really get into more than just surface treatment. It's not just surface treatment. It's really, there's so much more of the brain that's brought into it that these characters then project on the screen that we love or hate or whatever.
Well, you have to make them real. I think that's the key. That's why
Right.
the important because you're getting deep down. Who are they? Where did they come from? Where did they grow up? I mean, what is their state of psychology right now? What happens also in the film? Like I mean, you can look at movies like Never Been Kissed. When her Drew Barrymore character is like kind of a very sad girl, working at the newspaper, wearing ugly clothes, and then she goes undercover to high school and wears kind of crazy, fantastical outfits that don't really make sense. And then she changes. She really becomes, she grows up. And at the end, when you see her, the costume is so important, this pink dress that she wears, because she's now grown up. She's really
Right.
she's really found out who she is, what she's made out of, and she's ready for her love to come and give her the kiss. And she's in this very feminine, low-cut dress. She's not afraid of her body anymore. She's who she is. So if you really put the book and the beginning picture of her when we start and the end, you really see completely two different people.
Right.
And
The full story. Yeah.
I love that. I mean, that to me, like, and I love that I get. I mean, you can look at House Bunny and the girls were kind of, in the bed state. They were kind of as well ugly and not popular, and then how they changed through the Playboy Bunny, Anna Faris's character coming them, and then full circle coming to the end, learning who they are, and also Anna Faris's character, who also thought that maybe it's all about just the superficial thing, and the girls taught her to be deeper and who she is. So those are the moments, I think, in the prep where you sit with the director, you really go deep down with them and listen what their story is, what they're trying to say about the characters, and not everything is always in the script. You have to really have these very creative meetings, again, the collaboration, figure that out,
Yeah.
to map it out.
Teamwork is the greatest.
Yeah, doing the big boards. I mean, I'm still like old school when you're cutting things out and printing and looking at fashion magazine. You can be looking at photography books. I mean, Anne Leibovitz or Anne Golden. You can look at historical books and bring that in and reinvent something in a way. That's where all that color palette, textures, all of that. It's in the beginning. This is what is all going to sell who they are. Are the clothes aged? Are they brand
Right.
new? Are they, what color there are? All of that. It's everything telling the story. Because if you really think of it, when the actor comes on the screen, within 10 to 15, 20-second max, you know who they are, but exactly what they wear. You know the whole story. They don't have to open their mouth. It's not about the sets where they are. It's about what they wear. It tells it, which is, I think that's the most about costume design.
For Clueless, I think Alicia Donovan's character really, for the aspect, even more than Cher, is all about this surface presentation, and she doesn't know who she is because every 5 minutes she's somebody else. And like, I just love like the military look, I mean, it's hilarious. And yet you kept the trademark style with the mini skirt, the knee-high socks, but again, it's so different from what Cher was wearing.
Always.
Beyond.
She was just a super fun character, and we all had ideas to the tables. One of my favorites, the Pippi Longstocking outfit that she puts on, where I mean, it was just, it's important also in the films to have some levity, to have some fun, because that's what people enjoy. We want to be inspired, and we want to have some fun. So this to me was like, okay, I want to inspire the kids to go and have fun with fashion. So here's for you, Amber.
And then Amber, completely different.
If you look closely, if you can see, there's even a dollar sign on her hat. It's a pin. That's how important money was to her, that she had a little dollar sign pin on her hat. That's rhinestones, maybe even real diamonds. Who knows? It's Beverly Hills. But yeah, she loves theme dressing, which,
But also, what a fun way to be able to bring in many, many different styles within one film. You can't always do that. Sometimes it's very kind of just very minimal or straight-laced or one specific look, whereas with Clueless, you could really just investigate all these different personalities.
Completely. It was so much fun. And you had the or funky. I mean, she kind of, boys, she could wear the vinyl, a lot of leopard, different textures, completely different from the, much more tailored, the fireplace dresses, which was a little bit of a nod to Emma, if maybe you noticed. Those little dresses that Alicia wore, which was really cute. I thought it was,
Yes.
with the little
tiny puff sleeves, yeah.
Which I loved. That was a nod to Emma. But, also the textures and the colors too, I mean, Dion's, beautiful skin tone allowed me to bring out a lot more, brighter tones and, and fuchsias and lime greens, play with that. So yeah, I mean, I really tried to give characters a lot more kind of differentiation. I find that films, things can get a bit very repetitive, or, you kind of see this. I really love, especially if you look at movies like House Bunny, when I had 7 girls going through different transformation, and how you have to keep the color palette, their own style, consistent throughout the whole film.
And I thought it was really interesting for Clueless that, Cher, her arc of how she develops as a young woman, because it was really bright, solid, very the angular, the little A-line miniature mini skirts and so forth. And then as the movie arcs, her outfits, as you mentioned, get softer there and become even more feminine
Yeah,
as her love for Paul Rudd's character becomes more and more obvious to her. I
completely.
thought it was really interesting.
Completely. I love that you noticed that because, and when they have the kids and she's wearing white eyelet and
Yeah,
like love hands. And there was a very pivotal scene when she's very depressed and she's working around the fountain in Beverly Hills and she realizes she's in love with Josh, and that was a gray outfit. It was just not something she always wore, that color. But it was kind of that moment. There was a white chiffon blouse, very, very,
yeah,
it was like the most vulnerable and without anything that was like holding her against, she was raw. I mean, it really showed the softness of her, like really almost breaking down. It was
yeah.
wrinkled. It was like a, gauze material too. So it was not really like, she was always so perfect. So you almost saw her coming out in steam. So yeah, it was really nice to be able to do that with Amy too, because she was very sensitive to all the little small changes that we could make.
And that's a perfect segue, Mona, because our next film is Enchanted. And I want to say to our viewers, costume is so important and it can be so subtle. And the whole point of it is character development. Alicia Silverstone is not really Cher. She has her own life. Yet she's embodying this character that Mona then brings to life through her look, the costume looks, that then allows these actors to participate in whatever they need to, but at the same time project something that has nothing to do with the words that are being spoken by the actors. In fact, often in a scene, what's being said might be the opposite of what the look is. And that's that interesting psychology that comes about. So when you're watching films, especially if you want to break down that psychology, it's always through the costumes, which is the thing that's so fascinating to me.
I love it, and I think we don't get enough. I think importance to how, what is the storytelling of the costume. I think people don't really understand it, and I think the craft person, I always get really upset in a way because it's so intense what we do and so important, and I feel like that it's understood job almost because people think that we just pick up a shirt and put the shirt on. I mean, there's so much that
Right.
goes what it has to go through so many transformations, sometimes being aged or being, change color and of course alterations. I mean, like in Clueless, every costume was altered, even though it was bought at the thrift store for 99 cents. So because it was tailored, everything was, so it looked like couture, but it didn't have
Right.
to be, spend the money to couture. I mean, talking about Enchanted was a story because it was a, iconic story that I had to really, it's a Disney movie. We know these characters, so I had to reinvent them, but also stay very true to kind of the iconic nature of these, evil Queen Narissa. You have you see,
Right.
the princess. You see the princess always as a kid, the big sleeves, full waist. How do you reinvent something like this? And what was the most incredible about that film was that it's an animated film that it turns live action. So I actually got to
Right.
design and work with 2D animators in designing the 2D cartoons because I then was designing the live action costume. So I was on that movie for 5 months, being able to prep so early, working and creating the characters with animators. I mean, animators don't make clothes, they just draw them. So there's no gravity. You can do whatever you want. I mean, I don't know if you remember the sidekick to the prince, Tim Spall character, kind of a bigger guy.
Yeah.
So we started drawing his character, and they were putting him in tights and little shorts, puppy shorts, and then we got cast, and I was like, okay, our actor is 250 pounds. We need to change this outfit because he can't be running around, New York City in his little shorts with his body type. So it's really no matter what type of a job it is, if it's Stuart Little designing for a digital mouse or 2D animation characters, costume designers are needed, you know, because this is our
Yeah.
eye. We know how to create
Right.
a story. We know how to fit the actors. I mean, this was such a great dress because, you know, when you see it in 2D animation, it's very flat. It's like 2D drawing, so it just kind of outlines. And then the director, Kevin Lima, wanted the dress to basically burst out of the manhole, the layers and layers of fabric. So this kind of, you know, the difference of 2D animation and live action, the textures, the butterflies, the, you know, sequence all over it. So it was so much fun to do it. And also the proportion was so important because if you look at the
Huge.
animation, yes, it's a tiny little waist of the animated character with. So now I had to make that proportion on a human. She looks like a little doll running around Times. So that skirt was huge, you guys. It weighed probably 30 pounds. It was over 200 yards of fabric. We had to have a little stool underneath the dress for Amy to rest.
Yeah, because that's another thing too, that, you know, we're watching the films and it looks amazing, it looks scary, it looks shredded, and we forget that, you know, real actors, real people are having to function
Yes.
even after the camera stops moving, the filming, and you know, the actors have to be able to do their business too, you know, I mean, so you have to think of everything for these individuals.
Completely. And I mean, we had the because we had the wet one, we had the one for the stunt girl hanging from the billboard, you know, then we had when she's going through the door and the hoop gets this all
Right.
like, then there's the dress, special effect dress when she's cleaning, and the skirt. So that's yet another dress. We even had a mini version when she's out of the hall in New York City. That's a little short dress. Look at that.
Look, I found this on the internet, and here's Mona May right here.
So this is the silly dress that she was of a real metal in New York City Times. It smelled like hell, and there was some weird steam coming out, and Amy Adams got into it. So that was the mini dress that was like popping up. We see a little bit of it, and then we cut, and she jumps out, and it's again the full dress. So that's why you have so many different versions. I mean, that's kind of silly.
How many versions of this did you have?
This is one, but all of the different.
Of all of them.
7 of the dress.
7.
The white dress. Yeah. There's always the one.
That's a lot of fabric.
All the you know, the one is always stays clean, and that's the one PR that it's actually like at the Disney vault right now, somewhere hidden, locked up. But oh, you guys, there is an amazing book that everybody should look. I actually advertised it on my Instagram. It's the Art of Disney costuming book that just came out this year. That I have Enchanted and Haunted Mansion. Beautiful book. It's published by Disney, so everybody should get one. It's incredible. It's like a big coffee table book, and they actually have all the costumes in the vaults. They took it out, they put it on mannequins, they photographed it, they told about little stories, details. It's gorgeous. So I'm so proud that 2 of my movies are in there.
That's great. I'll make sure that we get a copy for our office library, definitely. And you know what's fun is that we've had costumes in our annual Hollywood costume exhibition, Clueless, Enchanted, and the Haunted Mansion. So I was not there for Clueless, but I dressed Enchanted and I dressed the Haunted Mansion, and we had this dress, and it literally took up an entire platform.
So cool, so cool. But yeah, that movie was really, really special because I really got to learn 3 different mediums, you know, kind of simultaneously going from the 2D animation to live action and to CGI, you know, in the way that the Narissa Evil Queen turned from, you know, real woman to the dragon, and her, you know, her crown to the horns, and her, you know, dress wings, the, you know, dragon's wings. I mean, it was really cool to design something like this and to work with all the different people. You work with the CGI artists, you work with the seamstresses making it, and, you know, painters to make it, and you work with the 2D animators. So it's awesome. You know, as a costume designer, you get to do so many different things. Yeah. So this is the 2D drawing that we started, and I had to be part of designing it, which is so cool. Aw, it's so cute. Love that.
So it was a question I had for you, Mona. It's like kind of which comes first, the chicken or the egg? Was it the costume design from you first for Amy Adams, and then it got translated into the cartoon.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
But then with the animators, you know, because it's very how much show into the 2D animation, you know, so also the proportion. So you know, it's I do the job first, but then I'm also collaborating with them as well because they teaching me something. You know, I don't know everything about 2D animation, so I have to learn. But it was about the proportion, about certain details that we were showing in the 2D animation, and you know, like I was talking about the prince sidekick. Oh, and the dress made out of a curtain, which you know, it's all about collaborating. I was talking about it actually in another class, like how much you have to collaborate with production design and set decorators because this dress came from a curtain, and it's really job of a production designer to decide on the curtain, but what they picked was ugly and looked so horrible on Amy that I had to get involved and really was like, okay, we're making this dress. Amy Adams is going to wear it for 1/3 of a movie. No, we need something that looks beautiful on her skin tone and not this pea green horrible curtain that you're trying to pull off. So, you know, it's very important to cross over to other departments and really have this, you know, open-minded collaboration because you know, it's hair, it's makeup, it's props, you know, what is she wearing? It's all kind of, you know, everything is in one bag. All, and our goal is to make it the best we can for everybody. And, you know,
Was any of,
go
sorry,
ahead.
was any of this influence, particularly this dress, like from The Sound of Music?
Very
Okay.
too. She's going to be running around and singing. You know, she's going to be in Central Park, and I love Sound of Music. It's one of my favorite movies. So it was a little bit homage to that film, absolutely. And yeah, it was just so beautiful. You know, it was a really interesting also journey of that character because she comes out and she, you know, like a fake princess almost. You know, the cartoon character, big hair with all the sequins and all the poofy stuff. She's on Earth and learning to be human, you know, about her feelings and who she is. She changes, you know. So this is the second dress she makes from the curtain. Then she goes into kind of like a modern short dress, still very princessy, that maybe she buys at Bergdorf's. And then, and you know, you see the purple dress when she's coming to the ball, and she's completely stripped of all, you know, it's hair is, there's, you know, blemishes on her skin. You know, this dress is so fitted, completely almost looks like, you know, skin tight. So now she's human. She's real.
And Mona, I do think that you should have won an Academy Award for Best Supporting Actress for your cameo role in the shop where Amy Adams is buying up with the credit card. I saw you there, and I thought that was brilliant. That should have been an Academy Award right there.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Just a little tip: you have to rewatch Clueless because I'm in Clueless as well.
Are you? I missed it.
It says
Okay.
like 2 seconds, so you have to text me when you see it again and see if you can.
Okay. Well, time is ticking, so we got to move on. So the last of the films that we're going to look at today is Apt for Tomorrow. It is Disney's The Haunted Mansion. And I have to say, Haunted Mansion, I would never miss it whenever I'm at Disneyland. I love it. And, you know, it's a really fun spoof on the whole ride. And it's interesting. I think it might be the only movie, along with Pirates of the Caribbean, that has been a ride at an amusement park first that then becomes a movie. You know, but hey, clever, creative ideas can come from anywhere.
Exactly, exactly. It was a really cool project for me because I got to reunite with Rob Minkoff, a director that I did Stuart Little with, and this was so much fun too because I got to create so many of the costumes from scratch and really design and build and, you know, create this really kind of mysterious world of ghosts. And I didn't really have to stick with any particular period. I borrow from periods, you know, like the dress, for example, that I designed for the wife, you know, there was the ghost. It was influenced by the Josephine, you know, the kind of signs of Napoleon. So I didn't really have to stick. Yeah, and here it is, you know, so it was really fun because it's almost like a fantasy. So you don't have rules. You can really create anything. I mean, like we had the masked balls, and also the characters that you meet in the Haunted Mansion kind of like, are they modern guys or are they from the past? You know, what are they
Right.
wearing? Is he like the very eccentric musician guy? So it was really fun to have this kind of openness. And the director was very open as well to um, give the audience something very different. And one of the most fun things, I don't know if you have a picture of the ghosts that I designed, along with the dress, because she was a ghost. So things also had some glow in them. So if you really would look closely, there's some glow painting on her little higher waist that's silver. So when she was fawn skirt was floating in the air like she's completely, you know, ghost vision. There was a lot of glow because it was painted glow effect of yes. So this is a beautiful sketch by Felipe Sanchez. You know, he's just so when she's moving and she's on wire in the air, we actually created this glow effect. The costume is painted with scotch, which is this road signs and your tennis shoes. So riding by, it kind of lights up. So what it is, it's microscopic glass beads. So I coated the dress with that effect in a way. You know, it was painted, so it was glowing. It's lifted out the heavens. You know, so it's really fun to be able to do that kind of stuff when you have more money and time on movies, you know, as big as Haunted Mansion or Enchanted. When you're really getting into the research and development, you know, you can really, you have the time to build this. I mean, this is a beautiful dress that was, you know, built. I was finding old little trims and Western costumes, you know, in the corners, and uh, you know, having time to do it, having time to do the fittings, you know, to do the testing of all that stuff. You don't really have a luxury, you know, on smaller project. I mean, even like Clueless, I didn't have the luxury of really, that was day and night. You know, here you have more time. So
Right. And I remember I was talking about this when we had the costumes in the gallery, and I'm really happy to say that we now have the complete bride ensemble. And I thought you must have referenced Josephine, Empress
yeah,
Josephine, in the look. But it's so interesting because usually special effects are after the fact. So much CGI now, whereas you were incorporating kind of old school special effects in this, but had not been done on film that I've ever seen before. And it was absolutely, it really is magical. And it does make you feel like you're going through the ride, especially the cemetery, because it has that same look. But to
yes.
capture that on screen would be incredibly difficult.
Well, we actually have to have a ring of light around the lens. So when we paint the costumes, oh, paint with the glass paint, the light actually have to reflect to the camera. So like if you were having to look at the costume, you would need a flashlight eye to reflect it right back to your you know, to see it. So it was definitely difficult. And you know, when we started doing the test, the paint was really bright. It was too bright. We had to, you know, find the right kind of ratio and mixing it. But you know, that's what's so fun for a costume designer, to really get to dive deep into things that nobody has seen. It's really
Well,
awesome.
and that you would have the cinematographer, the director, all of those other individuals love your idea and be willing to go with you and trust you that it's going to create what everybody hopes it will on screen.
Exactly. And have the time and money, because it really takes a couple months to really get this painted and figure it out and, you know, test it with the camera. And, you know, studios kind of the trust in us. Oh, I just love the dress. I love the gloves. I just loved all the trims that I did. I mean, the cup sleeves were so cool. She was just, you know, she was so magical. I was in love with her. And that's kind of why, I mean, the whole movie was about this character that was dead. So when we resurrected her, in a sense, she just really had to be angelic, and you know, it's very old-fashioned in a sense, and all the details is just really unique. There's a lot of metal on her, you know, metal trim from like 1920s and 30s that I found, the Western. But again, we had to have two rigged. She had to fly in the air, you know, so the dress had to be sturdy. It couldn't fall apart. I mean, it's all of that that you have to have under consideration when you're making stuff.
Is this the same dress in the film that appears on the mannequin in the attic, or was that another version?
It's the same. It's the same.
It is.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because I couldn't even find that much of that special trim. So I was like, okay, we're going to put
Hmm.
the mannequin. Everybody stay away.
Yeah, right, right. Don't touch.
I'm so happy to have it. I'm so delighted. That's just that people get inspired and see it up close because I think there's so much beautiful detail on that dress.
We don't acquire very many costumes from the Hollywood exhibition, our annual Hollywood exhibition, just because we don't have the space, you know,
Right.
for them. Once in a while, though, something kind of really hits me as being very interesting because there's a lot of story to tell
Right.
in this, and you know, and that's why I thought that's really fascinating. I'd never seen that before. And so we asked, and you helped us to acquire it, and we're really appreciative of that. And no kidding, we are now about out of time. Can you believe it? The hour goes by like that. So I just wanted to thank you again, Mona, for joining us today from your very busy schedule, literally on set. And I know that you are go, go, go.
I have more fittings because today is Friday. We start shooting the new episode on Monday. I better get back to work, but so great to talk to you. And thank you, all the listeners. And also follow me on my Instagram, and it's Monday. You can DM me for questions. I saw a couple questions like how to get an agent. You can DM me, and I'll answer directly to you. Happy
Thank
to do.
you.
And, you know, I'm always open to mentoring. So if you guys reach out to me, I'm always available. Since I am alumni, I just love the school so much. You know, it gave me so much. So giving back is really important. And
Yes.
happy Friday and happy Halloween.
Happy Friday, happy Halloween, Mona. I cannot wait till I get to see you and hug you in person at some point down the road, but I'm looking forward to it. And thank you to all of our viewers today for joining us. You know, don't forget to vote. Really, really important. And don't forget also to protect yourself and protect everybody else by wearing your mask. And we want to give a big shout out to Mona May and our Hollywood costume community. Thank you again for joining us.
Bye. See you at my Instagram.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you.